Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am so glad you could join me today. Today I'm going to talk about retail bakery requirements. Many bakers in our community are a little bit more advanced and are almost to that step where they want to move into retail bakery space or move into a rental kitchen. And so I'm going to talk about some requirements that they might encounter as they start to look for a retail bakery. I'm so glad you can join me today. My name is Alana. Let's get started. When bakers are ready to make the move to a retail bakery, there are some minimum requirements that are essentially universal across the board. It will be helpful to make sure you have your business professionals in place because you're going to need some expert guidance as you navigate this next step in your business. You're going to want to make sure to have a lawyer. You're going to also want to make sure that you have an accountant or a CPA, someone that can help you evaluate this financial impact, because it's going to be much different from when you are operating from home or as a cottage food business. And of course, I talk about this in every video. Your business must be an actual registered business. So your foundation has to be solid. When you're moving into a retail space, you're no longer dealing with things being half done. You're working with real estate brokers, their agents, you're working with real estate lawyers, things like that. And so your business foundation has to be set. So make sure you check out our online course because we walk through all of the steps to make sure that's done. And we also walk through some of the steps that you will encounter when you're moving into a retail space. So we have more detail on the retail business requirements. So you have your business foundation in place. The next is the location. You want to make sure the location is something that works for you. You also want to make sure that your location is going to work for your business. You want to go somewhere that you can grow into. I know that's not always possible. Some people start in very small locations and that is fine, but sometimes starting in a space that is too small can hinder you in some ways. And if you are planning to grow with a staff, you want to make sure it works with the staff as well. So you want to have space to have someone in the kitchen with you as well. So you want to make sure that the physical location works for your needs, and go visit that location at different points of the day to see the flow of traffic, to see what it's like, and just to see the environment in all angles. When you're planning to move to a retail location, you want to make sure to work with a retail broker or someone familiar with dealing with commercial leases, because they are very different from residential leases and they have different terms and conditions. And so you want to make sure that you are very clear on what you're signing when you are moving to a retail space, because they will be able to guide you through commercial leases and explain the lease to you. One thing to also consider when you're moving into a retail space is the setup. Some spaces are just a shell. Other spaces are fully built out. And so you also want to take those things into consideration, because those two things can change your budget significantly. It is ideal if you can find a location that was a previous bakery or a previous cafe. If you're working with a shell, you might need to also bring in an architect or someone else who will need to look at the space to build it out to your specifications. So you're adding in multiple layers of complexity. In addition, you're also going to have to work with the city to get your new facility permitted. So that there's just a lot of additional steps when you're going the retail route, but this can definitely be shortened if you find a location that is already built out or is a former restaurant space or bakery space. Next, when you are planning on moving to a retail bakery, you want to make sure you have your money in line, because they will be going through your finances with a fine-tooth comb. And this is another reason why I stress so much on having all of your business pieces in place and not staying as a hobbyist for too long if you know that you actually want to be a cake business. Because what happens is usually you will need at least 2 years of business financial records, not just your finances in general. They need to be your business finances. And if you stay too long as a hobbyist, that is messing up your timeline. So you need to add 2 years onto that time from when you actually get your business registered. So just to reiterate, get your business set up early on because the time or the clock starts when you get your business registered. The clock does not start when you actually started baking and selling your cakes. So if you want any kind of financing, or if you want to go and expand, you have to have 2 years of business records for you to really even go into that space. Um, there are a few ways around that, but you do have to have 2 years of solid income coming into your bank accounts before they will take you into consideration. So that kind of applies if you are just going straight from hobby to a retail space, but we're not a business. But of course, this is also why I recommend getting a CPA to help you, because it's just, there's some intricacies that only a professional can really guide you on. I'm just mainly speaking in generalities because our audience is global and every location is different, and every law is different, and the local laws for setting up a food business are also different. So I'm speaking very generally on these topics. And so that's also why I stress hiring professionals to help you out. So after all of these things are done, you've found your location, it's been built out, or you're moving into a location that has already been a previous bakery. You want to make sure you're budgeting for your equipment and your startup costs. So you want to have that in place. And then you want to make sure you have a plan on launching. So before you even get your doors open, there's a lot of prep work, and you have to make sure you get all of your licenses and permits from the city. So you have a timeline on that, and the city will definitely tell you what to do. The health department will need to come out and inspect your facility. So they will give you the timelines on that as well. Some areas, it's the Department of Agriculture. Again, it's always different. So you're going to need to research. So you go through all of those things, and then you will set your timeline, because generally you will need a good 2 months before you even open the doors for those things to happen. And then you can set your opening date. To prepare for your opening date, you want to make sure you're staffed. You want to make sure you've done all of your interviews. You want to make sure you've done all of your training. All of your supplies are in place. Your vendors are in place. You have your point of sale systems in place. There's a lot of prep work that you need to do before you even get open. And so you just want to make sure you have everything done before day one. So even though you are getting a retail bakery and getting into a lease, it could very well be 2 or 3 months that you're paying rent before you actually open for business. The goal is to always shorten that time frame. I recommend you giving yourself at least 6 weeks to complete all of those things, because you can hit the ground running and start making sales as soon as the doors open on day one. So this was a very high level video on some retail baking business requirements. But of course, if you have any questions, or even if you have expertise to offer, make sure to leave a comment below, because we would love to hear from our community. And of course, as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you are always notified when our next video is posted. And also don't forget to subscribe. We love seeing other bakers and hearing from people as they're on their baking business journey or their cake business journey. So make sure to join our community. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Hi, cake friends. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a question or a comment about starting, owning, or operating your own cake or baking business, please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to share with one of your baking friends. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when our next video is ready to watch. Bye!